Hi, and welcome to CPA exam update testing in India. My name is Tom Kenny. I'm the CCO for NASBA. And today we have three great presenters from the AICPA, NASBA, and Prometric. We have Mike Decker, who is the Vice President of Exams for the AICPA. Pat Harbin is the Director of Exam and Client Services for NASBA. And then we have Vice President of Global Account Management for Prometric, Mr. Mark Muth. Thank you, presenters, for taking the time today. We really appreciate it. As part of our presentation today, we're going to talk specifically about testing in India and the CPA exam in India and everything you need to know. Also, the response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And then lastly, just a bit of information and updates for you folks. With that being said, I'm going to hand the reins over to Mike Decker from the AICPA to talk about the CPA exam in India. And then we'll pass it off to Pat Harmon and then to Mark Muth. Mike, thank you for taking the time, and I'll advance the slides for you. So if I'm going too fast or too slow, just let me know.
Great, thanks, Tom. Really appreciate it. So yeah, we come June and September of 2020, NASBA, AICPA, and Prometric will be administering the US CPA exam locally to India, to Indian citizens, and also to citizens of the neighboring countries that you see there on the screen. We've been thinking about India for quite some time, and we realized the challenge that India and the Indian candidates are under right now, since they cannot travel to the US to sit for the exam, and they were also unable to sit in the Middle East. So we've worked together, and we're very pleased to announce that we'll be testing all four sections of the CPA exam to Indian candidates in June of 2020 and again in September of 2020. And we'll see how it goes in June and September, and we hope that we can announce additional months later on. But we're hopeful that the coronavirus is behind us and that folks may test safely in June. So just to be clear about the US CPA exam, this is not a competitive license to the Chartered Accountant of India. This is a complementary license, and it's a license that many Indian candidates and also a lot of Indian chartered accountants wish to secure. They want that US CPA license for working with US firms, US accounting firms that are currently operating in India, and other businesses with US interests. So the US CPA is a global recognized license, but it only provides rights for in the US. And so, should you pursue the US CPA instead of the Indian CA? Now, I would say no, because it is a complementary license. And if you're in India, it's good to have the Indian Chartered Accountant designation as well. And for many of the candidates that are in the pipeline, they're already familiar with the fee structure. But in general, the total cost for each of the four sections, or for the total four sections, is about $850 across all four sections. So much of that information is available on the NASBA website, and essentially you have to go through the same eligibility process with NASBA and with the state boards in the US. So where can candidates sit once we launch? So the AICPA and NASBA, as you may know, have partnered with Prometric for test delivery. Prometric is our global partner across the globe for test delivery of the CPA exam, and we'll be testing in the following 8 cities: Ahmedabad, Calcutta, Trivandrum, Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore, Mumbai, and New Delhi. So those test centers are ready to go, and they will be available in June. If you are a candidate in the pipeline now, you can reschedule. If you had appointments either in the US or in the Middle East, you may reschedule to one of those cities in both June and September. Today, there's no plans to expand beyond those 8 major cities, but depending upon volume and how things go in June and September, maybe we will expand. And as I mentioned earlier, We want to see how the administration goes in June and then again in September. And if everything goes well, we hope to be able to expand. And again, we hope the coronavirus is behind us by then. But again, we hope everybody is safe and is able to test in June. I know a big question that any candidate has whenever they test or wherever they test is if I test or when I test, when will I get my score? So you can see here the last two rows of this table. If you test by June 10th, on or before June 10th, and AICPA gets your score by the 11th, you will be able to receive your score on June 18th. And then if you test by the end of the month in June, you'll have your score by July 8th. So June 18th if you're done testing by the 10th, and July 8th if you test towards the end of the month in June.
So Pat, if you'd like to take this.
Sure. Thanks. The one question that would come up is anyone who's currently already applied and been determined eligible and maybe scheduled in the Middle East, how can they reschedule their exam into India? Candidates can just contact NASBA. We would go in and switch the region to India for you. There's no action on your part other than sending us an email to iexam@nasba.org with your name, your jurisdiction ID, your exam section ID, your current testing country, and the new putting in that you want to test in India. Once we do that, it'll cancel the appointment in the Middle East or in the US, wherever you're currently scheduled, and you'd be able to be in, you'd be set to schedule into India. For anyone who has not yet qualified to take the exam, once you go through the application process and are determined eligible, you would then you'd be sent a notice to schedule. That notice to schedule information will send you to a NASBA account that you would set up, and it's there that you would pay the additional international testing fee. So you would, again, apply to a state like everyone else does, determine where you want to go, apply to that, have your eligibility determined, and then once you have your notice to schedule, that next step would be for you to pay the international fee in order to schedule into India.
And while I have you here, what is the international fee for international candidates? Or international?
I think it's about $360. That was on a previous slide, so about $360.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mark, would you like to touch upon all the things happening with the COVID-19 and with testing and how that's affecting us?
Sure. Thank you, Tom. I know everybody on this call around the world is really going through the same issues. And obviously our test centers around the world are closed as of today. We're really looking to reopen test centers with the economy and with local markets as governments allow us around the world. Obviously in India, we'll be following that quite closely. One of the reasons we chose June as a window was we do expect to be open by then and would be able to test you as into your scheduled dates in June. We will look at a number of things, including social distancing and other factors that are government mandated, so that you're safe to come to our test centers, our employees are safe, and that you have a good experience as you continue on your career. So that's the net of it for India. And obviously stay tuned. Check the websites, check prometric.com for any changes to those schedules, as well as our partners at NASBA and AICPA.
And NASBA has extended all notices of schedule until September 30th that are expiring between April 1st and June 30th. And Prometric will waive all rescheduling fees at this time, I believe is also something that we wanted to point out to the candidates. Just a little bit about where to find the latest information and updates. And a lot of this information was quickly reviewed with you on this site. But if you need to know anything about testing in India, please email us at iexam@nasba.org, as Pat had mentioned. And then if you need anything regarding score release information, please email the AICPA at cpaexam@aicpa.org. And then anything with continuous testing. If you have any questions about that, please email cpaexam@nasba.org. Along those lines, NASBA has all the information and will post all the information regarding testing in India on their site. And AICPA will handle score release information. While if you have any questions whatsoever with scheduling, please visit Prometric's website. We also ask that you follow us on all the Facebook channels. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram on NASBA channels. AICPA has a great LinkedIn CPA exam page. And also, we invite you to attend and be part of the CPA Exam Candidate Forum. Now, this is a group on NASBA's Facebook page. There are nearly 10,000 candidates that are there, and it's only for candidates. If you're not a candidate, you're not invited to this page. It's a great resource for candidates to help each other get through the process. Lastly, I'd like to thank our presenters today. We hope we answered your questions today, and we really do wish you the best on your journey to become a CPA.